Mukaona zimai ya kulila mumamva bwa akamuchotsa chibelekelo mumamva bwa sonsezi zapeweka kati tisi mtachina chake lamula la uchembele liulikire.
Let's now go to policies in law. All right. What are some of the laws and policies that empower Malawians to enjoy the sexual and reproductive health rights?
Well, there are quite a few, quite a number of them that can come to mind. There's the Malawi Sexual and Reproductive Health Rights Policy. There is the Emergency Contraceptive Policy. And there are also laws like the Gender Equality Act that I mentioned. Even the Constitution itself talks about the right to health, but not specific. It talks about the right to development. And the right to development includes the right to health. And it also says that the government should provide adequate health services. So Constitution, Gender Equality Act, Marriage, Divorce and Family Relations Act, HIV, AIDS and Management Act also talks about those rights of people.
Okay, if I may ask, you have mentioned the Gender Equality Act. Can you explain in detail on some of the provisions of this act?
All right. The Gender Equality Act is quite an interesting piece of legislation. As I said earlier on, the Gender Equality Act was enacted in 2013. Of specific interest will be Section 19 and 20 of the Act. Section 19 of the Gender Equality Act says that every person has got the right to access sexual reproductive health services. And these services include a person can access issues to do with contraceptives, can access issues to do with the fertility, can access issues to do with the reproduction, and he or she can choose whether to have children or not, and can choose the number of children to have and also when to have those children. When we go again to Section 20, it imposes a duty on the medical personnel, like health service workers, that when a person comes to access sexual reproductive health services, they should not deny that person those services. And they should not even ask whether the person has gotten consent from a spouse, from a religious leader, from their parents, as long as they have got that right to access those services. And it also goes on to say that when they're giving out information about sexual reproductive health services, they should record that information and they should ask if at all that person has understood the information that has been given. So you can see that it's quite comprehensive because it talks about the right and it imposes a duty on the medical personnel.
Okay.
Yes.
Out of interest, sir, can rape and incest survivors request for access to safe abortion on the basis of Section 19 of the Gender Equality Rights?
Well, in my opinion, I would say yes. I know other people might differ because I talked about the Section 19 subsection 2 of the Gender Equality Act, which says a person can choose whether to have children or not. So a person who has been raped and made pregnant, in the first place, they did not choose to be raped, right? Or even a person who was indulging in incest. Incest is to have sexual intercourse with people who are related, right? They did not choose to have that. So if they go to the hospital and say, I don't want this child, at what point did they say they don't want the child? Is it at the point of being raped or at the point of going to the hospital? So I would argue that yes, they can use the Gender Equality Act to say that I don't want this pregnancy, I don't want this child, because they've got the right to choose whether to have a child or not. So if they don't want the child, then let the law allow them to do that. So yes, in my opinion, I would say yes, but I know other people might have other views, but that's what I think.
All right. Okay, sir. Do you have anything you would like to add on the discussions?
Yes, what I would add on is that as Malawians, we should take interest in knowing the laws that are there. For example, the laws in sexual reproductive health rights. The Gender Equality Act is quite a comprehensive piece of legislation which gives rights to Malawians to access services of reproductive services, sexual health services, contraceptive services, and issues to do with when and how to have children. And we should also take interest in knowing what duties have been imposed on the medical personnel, so that when we go to the hospital, if there are issues, we should be able to say, no, this is not how it should be. This is, you are violating my rights because I've been given these rights. And we should also, as Malawians, take interest in knowing our constitution as to what exactly human rights have been given in the constitution. So all in all, I would say, let us take interest in knowing pieces of legislation to do with health, to do with sexual reproduction, and to do with the human rights as well.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Mukaona zimai ya kulila mumamva bwa, akamuchotsa chibelekelo mumamva bwa. Sonsezi zapeweka kati tisi mtachina chake lamu